Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portress, and joining me today, his dance card always has a spot for you, Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
I have to admit, I did not know what that phrase meant, even though I used it all the time until this movie.
Pretty amazing. And whenever he goes out, the people always shout, "Where'd you get that hat?" Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and every day is a good day for a prison break.
Oh, it is. Let's break it all out here on International November. We are back, boys and girls, so get your tea and crumpets ready because we're traveling to jolly old England where the sun never shines and the food is exciting as watching grass grow. We're taking a look at Enola Holmes 2 today on Netflix. We enjoyed Enola Holmes. That was one of our
I recall us rating it high. Yeah.
2020.
Yeah, I like the first one.
So we were looking forward to what we're going to see here in Enola Holmes 2, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, though. But before we do want to say a giant thank you to the people to support us over at patreon.com/HMP. When you're one of those awesome people, guess what happens? You get the pre-show, you get the post-show, and the Dinger Zone. Dinger Zone today, we talked about the Marvel, the last... what's the name? What are we calling them?
Phase
Phases.
4.
I'm like, what are these called again? Phases. We talked about Phase 4 and everything, and where things might be going in the future. So if you'd like to check all that stuff out and support this show at the same time, head on over to patreon.com/HMP. And one of the best parts about being one of those people is you get to help us select what movie we watch every single month. And we continue on in this International November. We have our Patreon selection for that. So here are your choices and where those movies can be found. We have Kung Fu Hustle, the Stephen Chow classic, available on Hulu.
Nice.
Mortal. It's directed by Andre Orvidal. I think that's how you pronounce that. That's on Prime Video. That was suggested by one of our Patreon people. Ip Man on Netflix. Thirst from Chan-wook Park. That's available on the Criterion channel, as well as Hausu, or House, from 1977, also Criterion. So you have a couple of very interesting selections for you to choose from for International November. And we leave it to you guys and gals. Come over here. You tell us what to watch. We watch that thing, and then Bob's your uncle. There you go.
Which movie are you voting for, Sean?
For me, there's a bunch that I like, actually. I like Hausu. I like Kung Fu Hustle. I like Ip Man. Thirst sounds pretty cool. Also, I love Chan-wook Park. Those are the ones that I'm like. We all win.
Yeah, I think all those selections sound like something I'll be excited about.
Yeah,
so that is a first for us.
We're loaded for bear over here. I wanted to have a good week next week, so we took some ones together. And
should we throw in one stinker just so they can punish us?
Listen,
no.
He said it was good, but we were told mortal. So I don't know for mortal. So that may be the black sheep in this one. We're not sure. I'm not sure what that one is. I'm not sure what it looks like, but I have been told that we ought to give that a shot. So it's in the the collection, man. It's in
the hopper.
It's in there. Just go ahead and pick it on out there.
So Bruce, do you remember in the late 80s, early 90s when Now Comics had all those bananas properties from movies that they got, and they had cool ones like the Terminator and stuff like that. But then they also had Fright Night.
Yes, pretty much any movie could get a one issue of a comic. Now,
right,
not the whole 4-issue ultra mini series treatment, but they get at least one.
And I want to say that House actually was House, the American version of that movie.
Yes,
it had it.
It had to. There's no way it didn't.
Yeah.
Ripping off people left and right. That's how we do it here in the good old U.S. of A.
I like the Now Comics Terminator series. They had some cool ideas.
I think I know someone who wrote the Now Comics Three Ninjas comic book.
He wrote in the back of a
yeah. I can't remember if it was Three Ninjas or Surf Ninjas, but it was
in the back of a stair car.
Was there a movie called Surf Ninjas?
Heck yeah, there was.
Surf Ninjas Must Die.
He might have done Surf Ninjas instead of Three Ninjas. Now I got to figure it out. Now I'm second guessing.
Listen, not for nothing, but you've got two wildly different films. I mean, they both got ninja in the title, but those are
all kid ninjas, though, right? Like Three Ninjas are kid ninjas.
Yes, because once Three Ninjas came out, everybody had pocket ninjas, and there was all these kids as ninjas movies.
The best part is those kids were all I love the fat kid. There's always a fat kid in
Yeah.
in the group. It's just like, it's so good.
I must say, I must confess, I've never seen a single kid as ninja movie.
So the same guy that I know that wrote either the Three Ninjas or the Surf Ninjas. I was trying to look up which one it was, and it's not listed, but he did write the Free Jack and Universal Soldier comics.
Wow, that's amazing.
Now Comics, along with Green Hornet. Apparently, Now Comics had a Green Hornet comic too.
Good old Now Comics. We need to like start writing some of that stuff down so we go when we got.
Well, they stopped paying their creators, so they don't need to come back.
Who needs it?
Yeah.
What do your creators need? You just poured a whole bunch of yourself into it. Why do you need compensation? Isn't the art rewarded enough?
You have done plenty of shows in your time where they're like, well, this is good exposure.
Yeah, amen to that.
So how dare you
them.
take that side?
It's true. That's all
of them that have been like that have driven me nuts. Three Ninjas Kick Back is the comic book adaptation of
that.
The
Was a sequel because Three Ninjas Kick. There was Three Ninjas Kick Back, and then I think Three Ninjas to Magic Mountain or something like that, something very akin to that.
So he did Three Ninjas Kick Back.
Oh, man, he got done that nice sequel. He didn't have to do any of the real work. All the stuff was kind of done for him and everything. That's nice.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get patreon.com/HMP. And of course, if you can't support us over there, drop us a 5-star review on the iTunes, aka Humdinger.
Humdinger.
Get yourself some Dirty Babies merch, man. There's a link for that is in the show notes. All right, let's get into it. Here is the trailer for Enola Holmes 2.
Excuse me.
Stop that now!
1, 2, 3, take my hand and come with me because you look so fine and I really want to make you mine. Perhaps I should explain.
My name is Enola Holmes. I started a detective agency.
Oh, well, but you're a girl. Tell me,
Yes,
might your brother be free?
my brother. Well, I have not a single case. Sherlock Slater seems to be vexing him.
Is it true you find lost people?
Yes.
My sister. She disappeared a week ago.
At last, I would be a detective in my own right, worthy of the Holmes name.
Dare I ask?
She's a detective.
Good God, another one.
I'm trying to save a girl's life.
And what can we do?
We? Is he looking back?
I said, are you gonna be my girl?
Oh, good. He isn't.
Are you involved in something dangerous?
Good afternoon. You can't control Enola Holmes. She's a force of nature. You. Why are you here? Is it my case or your own?
Both. It seems our cases are connected. Shall we?
All righty, that was the trailer for Enola Holmes 2, currently available on Netflix. You know what time it is.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
Oh, Bruce, what do we got for us this week?
Well, Enola Holmes is a character from the illustrated novels of the same name by Nancy Springer. But unlike the 2020 movie, 2022's Enola Holmes 2 strays from the graphic novel pages into the history books, as this story is not based on one from the books, but rather a real-life incident. In 1888, at the Bryant and May Match Factory in Bow, London, or maybe it's Bow, London. It's spelled B-O-W. And I also don't understand, like, I thought London is a city, but it's like there's other cities inside of London. Like, I see teams, and I'm like, where's that? Oh, that's in London. I guess their neighborhoods get treated like cities there? I don't know. Well, anyway, in Bow, London, the women and girls who worked there stood up collectively to their employers. This was known as the Brian and May Match Factory Strike, and it serves as the central event in this week's movie. So in the late 19th century, matches were made using sticks of Canadian pine wood twice the length of the finished product. So do you guys know why it was twice the length?
Pipes?
No, you cut it in half and you got 2 matches because they'd put them into a frame that contained about 4,000. Then both ends of the sticks would be dipped into sulfur and then into a composition of white phosphorus. And then you cut it in the middle and you got 2 matches. So the matches they produced were initially branded Lucifers due to the distinctive smell of the sulfur being associated with the fire and brimstone destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. And an occupational disease that affected those who worked with white phosphorus was phosphorus necrosis of the jaw, also known as Fossy Jaw. That also happened to be my rap name in high school. But anyway, Fossy Jaw developed by inhalation of phosphorus vapor, particularly when the ingredient was heated, which caused osteonecrosis of the jawbone. In case you haven't figured it out yet, Fossy Jaw was a pretty bad thing. The condition manifested itself in initially toothaches and flu-like symptoms. Then it moved on to tooth loss, then abscesses, swelling of the gums, the formation of fistula, and necrosis of the jaw. Mortality was reported in around 20% of the cases. Bryant and May were aware of Fossy Jaw. So if a worker complained of having a toothache, they were told to have the teeth removed immediately or be fired. How's that for an ultimatum when you show up at work, Sean? Pull out all your teeth or we're going to fire you. That'd be tough. Well,
that explains a lot.
The working conditions in the match factory caused great discontent, and the discontent grew into open outrage with the dismissal of one of the workers on the 2nd of July in 1888, which set off the strike, with approximately 1,400 women and girls refusing to work by the end of the first day. This strike resulted in an allowance that meals were to be taken in a separate room where the food would not be contaminated with phosphorus. In 1891, the Salvation Army opened up its own match factory in the Bow District of London, using less toxic red phosphorus and paying better wages. And that, my friends, was the end of abusive labor practices forever and ever, leading to the workers' utopia in which we now live. And speaking of workers' utopias, Adam, do you have a list?
Well, if that wasn't enough for you, let me sell everybody on this sequel to a pandemic favorite because this sucker has everything. We've got 11. We've got Superman, that lady from the Tim Burton flicks. We got Remus Lupin, a quick recap of the first movie just in case you forgot about it. Rats crawling, searching for clues, sketches, fourth wall breaking, evidence board complete with yarn connections. They replaced Sherlock Holmes's heroin addiction with booze for 5 minutes. These kids these days can't handle their laudanum, I suppose. We get Americans playing Brits, Brits playing Brits, stovepipe hats, bowler hats, flower bucket hats, tiny hats, flat caps, canes, kick to the jewels, matches, lots of matches, ballroom dancing, Sweet Willie, fan action, dance cards, dancing in the ballroom, pastry munching, classic Holmes crime scene breakdown, front kicking signs, ladies jail, so you know there's going to be a breakout, smoke bombing, horse and buggy chase, the hallelujah chorus, I can't stop talking about it, so you know that the producers are the ones behind the typhus subplot. Kids can't, they love it. Bubble, toil and trouble, matchstick murder, face punching till you can't stop face punching, kissy face, the theater, hand biting, trapeze swinging, sword fighting, chest stabbing, scaffold fights, metal hook to the head, hook to the bollocks, a Moriarty reveal that you won't see coming, ladies river dance, and my favorite quotes from the film, did I not teach you to dance 5 minutes in the bathroom? And you're a nincompoop, now hail a cab. This movie's got everything.
Definitely does.
Did you guys remember anything about the first Enola Holmes?
I remembered that I thought it was charming. I remember there was a boy in it, and I remember she did like judo or something. So that's about all I remembered.
Yeah, I remember a vibe more than I do the specific story and everything. I'm like, okay, brother and sister, we got that bit, and then it was just like the rest was, you're right, it was kind of like just the vibes and the feeling of that first one. The story itself didn't stick home for sure.
Right. That's basically where I was too. It felt like I was being reminded throughout the throughout like the first act of this. They're like, oh, right. I forgot that she's in it. Oh, right. You know, there was like all of that stuff that kept happening. But yeah, it was basically vibes. And I remember us liking it fairly well. Like it wasn't something where we were like, oh, but I had forgotten that this was released during the pandemic. I totally forgot about that.
I had also totally forgotten that Helena Bonham Carter played her mother. Like I remembered her mother. I remembered her mother's character pretty clearly, But then when I'm watching it and I saw that it was Helena Bonham Carter, I thought, well, she wasn't in the last one, was she? But she was.
Yeah, I didn't remember that.
Can we talk about her for a second? Because Helena Bonham Carter has been working since the mid '80s, right? When she was she's basically like a preteen actor.
Yeah.
And through all of this time, for the last 35 years, she has played a variation of Crazy Lady this entire time. And I mean, it's not the same level of crazy. Sometimes it's also a different kind of crazy, but she's always off. She's never exactly like the bastion of good mental health.
I would say the least crazy character that I've seen her in, like in The Crown, she's played Princess Margaret, but even Princess Margaret's kind of the eccentric sister, you know?
Right.
And I say it all the time.
And so, you know, that goes under the radar that this lady has been playing a crazy person for 35 years.
And I do also want to say, for somebody who's been acting for 35 years, she's 56 years old, looks great.
Yes, she does.
She could easily play in her 40s.
And the thing is they kind of purposely make her look a little old. They lean into it a little bit here, just I think on account of like she's 57 and Cavill's like 39, so it's pretty close. Like she had him just at the cusp of when she probably could. That would have been allowable.
When I had my kids.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like you don't want any younger than that, and you're just like, oh, yeah, that's not good. Like that's as young as you want to get right there, I say.
And so, you know, when I'm reminded that she's in this film, it was one of those things where it was like, oh, right. Oh, and that's right. She's a crazy person in this also. It's just a slight kind of crazy.
Yeah, she's probably not going to kill somebody in this one. You know, she's just like she's
I don't
crazy
know, she's
mom.
throwing explosives around, which tend to kill indiscriminately.
Well,
she is doing that. Yeah,
that was in her later stage. I'm talking about more like when Enola was like a little girl, and it was just like they're just doing fun science experiments.
Yeah, she's just teaching her daughter how to box. No biggie.
Hey, 15 years later, sure, it's going to lead to some, you know, but you'll be happy that you did it.
Yeah,
you got to learn all those things, lest you. And that's, well, I mean, I'll go ahead and just say this. I mean, I don't have a lot of like really like, you know, down things to say about this. And most of the time it's fine and acceptable. But there are a couple of moments where you're just like, these grown men would murder these ladies. But okay.
Yes.
And I'm also, you know what? That's the fun of it, though. I mean, come on.
Sometimes.
Stuff.
Now, like, here's the thing. If they do it cleverly, I like it. If they can cleverly, like in Atomic Blonde, for example, she beats the crap out of a guy with a stiletto heel. At least, like, I can understand, like, a guy getting, if you're being poked in the eye with a heel.
Believable. Like, that's the other part. It's believable.
Yeah. With this, it's just like, you know, not for nothing, but I think Enola Holmes weighs, you know, maybe 98 pounds here, and somebody just throw her across the room.
And I think they're going for that YA audience, the same audience where you typically, if you want to make your main heroine, because they all have a heroine, if you want to make her a butt kicker, you give her a bow and arrow. At least they didn't take that cop out, you know,
True.
The Archer route that has famously been done a lot. And you know what? I give them, I'll give them like one or two conceits because I know it's a YA and it's going for a vibe and a feeling. And if, as long as they only ask for that one or maybe two, if they're posed right and they give you the rest pretty good, I can take it. So I can deal with that one.
Yeah.
That's the one I give them, is that the 95 pounders, because of their understanding of jiu-jitsu, are taking down these 45-year-old London cops who I'm going to say haven't probably gotten a lot of cardio, probably aren't all that tough, if we're being honest. Like,
yeah, you look and you're like, maybe Lestrade's not tough or anything, so he could get beat up.
Like, we're not talking Henry Cavill here, that she's fighting with for the most part. It's like the chubby bobbies, but like, let's just put it this way. Gloves off, 100% serious question. If me and Millie Bobby Brown were in a cage for a cage fight, not everybody's betting on me. Okay,
I think those people are silly. Here's what I see.
A lot of those cops are about like me.
Here's what I see. I see Bruce Leslie as like just a first and foremost. Sean, you don't know this, but Bruce Leslie was streaming on the internet a couple days ago, and I've seen this man in a robe. He's ready to fight.
I was full on Hugh Hefner the other day.
He's wearing this robe streaming on YouTube and stuff, and I was like, I have to tune in to see whatever's going on here. Nothing untoward happened. I'll leave it at that.
The chest hair popped out a few times.
It did. He had to like, and I love it because he cinched it up real close, like he was
trying to hide my cleavage.
He did. He wanted to show a little bit of class. He didn't want to go around just showing off the goods to everybody.
I don't want to be one of those kind of channels.
He's keeping
in for my nipple.
A little decorum there, and we appreciate that.
I think, to go backwards for a second, the problem that I have with a lot of this movie that I didn't have the first time is there is something that is terribly unauthentic to me about this one. And I think it might have to do with that like 90s girl power thing, that like the 90s girl power thing was all fake, like the Spice Girls and stuff like that. Like that's all garbage and fake.
I mean, it even continued into the early 2000s with Katy Perry's early career too.
I mean,
sure. But like, to me, it's the difference between someone who's inauthentic, like Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel. Like Jimmy Kimmel is real and Jimmy Fallon is just nothing but fake.
Yeah.
And that's the difference to me for Enola Holmes 1 and Enola Holmes 2, is that there is something that is just woefully inauthentic to me about this movie. And I'm not just talking about the 97-pound girl, which that is part of it also, but like there's like, I get we're trying to be better people. I understand that, but there is no way in hell that like some of the people who are cast in this movie, it's just brushed over, and that's great because we're trying to make a better world. Yeah. But it does tweak something in my head when I'm watching it, and I'm like, well, that it takes me right out of the movie right away. And it's the same thing with the main actress herself, Millie Bobby Brown. Millie Bobby Brown now, when she started, she was a phenom because it was like, I can't believe that somebody who is that young is this good an actress. Yeah. Because it only happens every couple of years where you're like, well, that's the best actor, and that actor is 7 years old.
Yeah, I would say it's almost generational. That's how rare it is. I mean, there's more than one a generation, but not many.
Yeah, right. It's like she's this one, like Haley Joel Osment before, Mickey Rooney before that.
But now she's not
Foster. Yeah.
Right. But now she's not that. Now she is basically almost an adult. You got to figure she's probably she's probably 17, 18,
I'm thinking like she's around 19.
I thought she was like 20 or something. I don't know.
Maybe
she's 18. We were all over the place. She's 18.
Oh, there you go.
So
19 in February, according to Wikipedia, which isn't always correct.
Always correct.
And she is an awful human being.
She is?
Yes, she is.
Oh, that breaks my heart. I didn't know that.
She is terrible to be around.
So before you tell me, I want to know the terrible things, but before you tell me, I want to tell you like where I stand with her now and what's about to change. But I think because of the age she was and the character she played and how much I really related to Stranger Things, I continue to have a very paternalistic feeling towards Millie Bobby Brown. Like I feel like I'm proud of one of my own kids or nieces or nephews or something when she does well. So it's this weird parasocial relationship where I feel like I'm Hopper in her life a little bit, like I'm pulling for her. So I hate to hear that incredible fame at a young age isn't good for a person's ego.
What? That Corey Feldman did real well with it. What are you talking about?
Hey, Feldman did better than Haim.
Yeah,
which didn't say much.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what do you did a 10 on the test as opposed
just
to a
means
0?
He's got a stronger liver. That's all.
Hey, at least my turd doesn't smell as bad as that guy's. That's kind of what that is.
Fair. I think she's real quick. I'll just jump in real fast, but I think my thoughts on her real fast. Yeah. I like her. I like her a whole bunch. I think she's growing as an actress. There's something about she has that it factor that you have to have in Hollywood, or at least you hope someone has in Hollywood. They come in and like no matter what, your eye is just drawn to them. They got that it factor, and she's got that. There's something, and there's like, at least as far as the acting is concerned, it feels like there's a sincerity behind her eyes a lot of times. And like, like she's not just reading the things. She's really like, she's honest to God acting it and stuff. And I like it. And it's better than I think a lot of actors her age today are capable of doing. Now,
Well,
now let's destroy it.
she's clearly a good actor. Like that's not the problem. That's not the problem that girl has.
So
The problem that girl has is that she's a bloody monster.
Worse than just your standard posh English person who, having traveled Europe with some of them, can be bloody monsters.
She's
American.
She's not American.
No, she's not American.
Not American? I thought
No, she's born in Spain, grew up in the UK.
Oh, she's a Spaniard. I should have known.
Didn't you wonder why her British accent is so good?
She gave that Olay in there, and I was just like, son of a gun. I should have known. I should have known.
You got to know when you're the offspring of Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown, you're going to have a little bit of an ego.
It is true. It is true. And the skin bleaching looks amazing.
The technology today, doctors, what can they not
Here's
do?
the dirty secret. It's not skin bleaching. It's the other way around. Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown were performing in blackface all those years.
Oh, my
Wow.
Lord. What a turn.
Now I'm dropping some bombs. They are gauntlet thrown.
Oh, man. Thank God Whitney's killing, so she didn't have to live through this.
Is that what that
Hell of a
Spike Lee
bonfire.
movie's about?
I think so.
Yeah. Do the wrong thing.
No, Adam, you know the one I'm talking about.
I do.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
It's eluding me at the time. I don't know.
But so yeah, me too. So like to get to my point here, my point is that my problem with her is not the acting. The acting, of course, is on point. But there's a million actors who are great actors who are monsters, but the problem is that when I see her in something now, I no longer think like, oh man, I can't believe how great this girl still is.
I'm sorry, I have to go Bruce on this one. Is she spitting on babies or something? What's happening?
I can't say.
Okay. It's one. All right. So
I'll just say this, that like when the young woman who played Hermione started, I mean, she's in her 20s, maybe even 30 by now.
she's probably 30 by now. Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize. Emily Watts or
Emily Watson.
Emily Watson. So, she's like full on adult. So I was kind of looking at Millie Bobby Brown as like that next young female actor to come on and have a little more chutzpah and transition to adulthood. But man, I don't like to hear that she is, well, a diva. That's what I'm going to assume you're saying basically. Is that she's
Listen,
kind of
all I'll say is
extreme.
this. If you do 2 movies with Godzilla, you get a little bit of a big head.
I'll just
You know
say,
what I'm saying?
you wouldn't believe what her trailer looked like the time she found a brown M&M in the bowl.
It's like, I got King Kong and Godzilla in this. Who? David Harbour who? I don't even give a crap about that guy. Screw him.
Everyone's favorite part of those Godzilla movies is Millie Bobby Brown, without a doubt.
Well,
And
that and
there's
the
a-
blue laser coming out of Godzilla's mouth. Woo! That's a good time.
And there was a time too when I thought like Sophie Lillis and Millie Bobby Brown are going to be going out for all these same roles. They're going to have an interesting dueling career to watch. But I think it's fair to say Millie Bobby Brown's pulled way ahead of Sophie Lillis right now. She's doing that Dungeons and Dragon movie, which will be awesome. But I don't know that's going to get her.
You
the mass
said that as
title love.
if you had some kind of inside track on that Dungeons and Dragons movie being good. Please, you can't stroll past that one.
All I'm going to say is I don't think Chris Pine would lie to me.
Well, Chris Pine, he's a lot of things, but he ain't no liar.
I said, Chris Pine, me and you were friends, Chris Pine. What do you think of Wonder Woman 84? And he just kind of did that thing where you hold your hand up and just kind of wave it side to side a little bit like, meh. So he doesn't lie to me.
Then he
But I
said,
"What
get out
about
of my
Dungeons and
house.
Dragons? 2 thumbs up, and then he called the police. Exactly.
Did you meet him in the back of a van also?
We were riding a bus to the water treatment plant together.
Of course.
We were stuck in the back of a convertible Chrysler Sebring together while we were going to the
We
nuclear
were
power
both in
plant.
Ireland and touring a water treatment plant because we had some time to kill.
Like you do.
We were both in an old UPS truck that had been converted.
Those are how a lot of my stories go.
I said, you know what this place could use? A George Foreman
So-
grill.
What's up with Henry Cavill? Like, I feel like he almost got canceled for nothing. Like I don't know what he did, but I feel like a lot of people turned on him for a while, and now he's slowly coming back into good graces or something.
Well, for me, this is the way it looks from the outside when it comes to Henry Cavill. Is that Henry Cavill seemed to be in a bunch of things that weren't so great all at the same time.
Yeah.
And so people started turning on him. However, for me, I liked him because I love The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I love that
So
movie.
good.
Great movie, but maybe people just associate him with Armie Hammer because of that, and that's why he was semi-canceled there for a while.
Not for nothing,
But
but Armie Hammer's great in that film too. I don't care how crazy he is in the real world.
Wonderful.
Just don't Just don't take him up on his offer when he asks if you can
Yeah.
lend a hand.
I was going to say if he kisses your hand, count your fingers when you get it.
And he goes,
Stay away from barbecues. They'll be like, "Ooh, this was slow roasted." You don't want to hear any of those phrases.
man, it's a good thing you're rich, Army Hammer. Otherwise, so but what ended up happening with him was that, like you learn like, oh, he's building his own computers and stuff like that. And like, so people like nerd culture is like, I don't know if I can stay mad at this guy, even though he's in a lot of terrible movies all at once. I still kind of like this guy. Yes. Henry Cavill. So like he starts to become, and again, this is me just looking in from the outside. He starts to become one of those guys where like, he's sort of like The Rock, where I am in every bad movie ever made, but I still like this guy. And so, it keeps happening. And then he's in Mission Impossible. And after Mission Impossible, it's basically cemented like, oh, this guy is actually great.
Give him something that is worth him chewing on, and he'll do a fantastic job with it. And and you're right. I think that was one of the things that like you could see like a really great actor in there ready to do some stuff with his previous roles and everything. But it really wasn't until that where it was just like, oh, they kind of really let him go and gave him a good role to have. And it makes all the difference in the world. And and you're right. Seeing him kind of out and about and everything. And he's also got one of those disadvantages of being wildly handsome, right?
Yes.
So
something that helps like, what's the guy from Magic Mike? The Manganiello.
Joe Manganiello. And I was going to make that comparison. Him and Joe Manganiello, very much the same kind of very good-looking guys, but nerdy and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Joe Manganiello loves Dungeons and Dragons. That's a big plus for me. Cavill, he's a Warhammer 40K guy. He loves painting those figures.
I mean, there was a video of him like putting, like you said, Sean, putting together that computer. But the best part about that was it looked like it was in his mom's house. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't look like it was in some swanky Hollywood home or anything. It looks like he was in his mom's house in Indiana, which I know that's not where he's from, but that's what it looked like, right? And he's putting together this computer, just like looking like a regular, like acting like a regular dude, but looking like Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill's from Jersey, and I don't mean that as short from New Jersey. I mean he's actually
just the OG Jersey.
Yes, he's from Old Jersey, not New Jersey, which is great because it's like Jersey versus Jersey. But anyway, my wife hates him.
What?
The way that she hates him the way she hates people that cheat on their wives. And I was wondering if he had some famous like infidelity in his past. Like she sees him and she talks the same way she used to talk about Angelina Jolie after the whole Brad Pitt left Jennifer Aniston for Angelina Jolie. She talks about Henry Cavill that same way.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I don't know. I'd be friends with the guy.
I mean, I would be nice to him. He looks like he beat me up, but I'd probably stay away from him.
No, but I
like to be the most handsome guy in the group. So
I like him.
My
as
Lord,
Holmes.
you sit by yourself a lot.
Yeah, well, yeah.
A lot of time alone.
I was going to say, why aren't you on this show?
I spent a lot of time in elevators.
I like him as Holmes. And I didn't think that, because obviously he's, a big, giant, handsome man and everything, and not necessarily the way that Sherlock Holmes has been portrayed throughout all of the years. So at first it's like, is he going to be the right one? But like he pulls off the smart thing and like it all works. Like when he's breaking down that crime scene, you feel like, oh, no, this is what he does.
And I got to say, like, I guess it's 2022 and you don't have to say this as much. It's not 1988 with Sylvester Stallone anymore. I'm just glad that it didn't come out that Henry Cavill and Millie Bobby Brown started dating. Because that
heavens,
that happened so much in like the 80s and 90s, like the 40-year-old and the 18-year-old co-star.
Okay, so
it would be going on that way.
I've been looking up to see what the problem is with Henry Cavill, and so he got into a bit of a scrape because of some of his comments he made for #B2.
Oh,
and so
he probably said some like semi-level-headed things that everybody was just like, you can't say that.
Well, it's one of those things where I could totally see Adam Portress saying something like this, and then and not understanding why everyone around him is enraged after he said it.
I understand. I just don't care. It's a difference.
What I'm guessing is it's going to be the sort of thing that I think, but know better than to say.
So here's the thing, right? Is that so he for like during just the massive like the massive things that came out during that first part of Me Too, where like, hey, let's get all these monsters out of here. Like the first part of Me Too was absolutely needed and perfect and great. Like it really was.
And then it quickly became, I don't like you, you got to go.
I think it more became everybody wanted to be in the club. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
There is a lot of that too. And so Henry Cavill had said that that the Me Too movement had left him scared to date women for fear of being called a rapist.
Yeah.
And so, he said that publicly and everybody went bananas. And so then he apologized for that statement later when, he just went, when everybody went crazy. And, there's a whole lot of like, this wasn't my intention, things like that. So I can totally see why your wife would be mad at Henry Cavill. Bruce.
Okay. I'll have to ask her if that's why.
Never apologize.
Yeah, it worked great for some people.
It's worked great for Madame Portress.
So far, so good. I think I'm just hitting them out of the park every day here. Oh, excuse me, I gotta go cry.
Now, out of all the casting in both of these movies, really, but we're talking about part 2. The one that just never quite works for me is the guy that plays Tewksbury.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be kind of a stupid reason that it doesn't work for me, but I keep thinking like that character should look a little bit more like Timothy Chalamet. Like I'm picturing Timothy Chalamet as the perfect Tewksbury. And I know they can't get him, but you get some skinny little mop-haired kid that looks, kind of like a fop. I mean, that's what he is as a fop.
But Chalamet doesn't look British.
Yeah, and
the kid who plays Tewksbury really looks British.
And Chalamet's French. I mean, how different do French and British people really look at the end of the day? He's got that pale blue blood look. The French nobles ruled England. He's in the peerage.
Listen, not for nothing, but nobody just British people. I love you to death. You know that. But no one's ever been like, oh, the gorgeous. No, it's usually the French people are. If we're talking about like we're going to the runways of Milan, not the runways of Bedfordshire or someplace like that. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
HearMoviePodcast@gmail.com.
Oh boy!
Send me all of your good-looking British ladies.
We're talking about a guy though. We're not talking about a lady.
You heard what I said.
Send me all your good-looking British ladies. I was going to say Henry Cavill in my encyclopedia of handsome men is way more handsome than Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, 100%.
And he's British, and he's 100% British. Actually, he's from Jersey.
What do you guys think about the actual case, if you will?
It felt a little Batman 66 against the Riddler. I didn't feel like they were using real good deduction. I feel like they would just look at it and kind of know what it is, and it sort of makes sense in reverse, but it's such a loose connection that you're only certain because the script tells you to be certain. I mean, looking at the poem and realizing that I too ate lunch meant the number 28, which is short for 20. I mean, some of that is just so arbitrary that it's totally not well-constructed deductive mystery that you could figure out without just being told. So that's what I mean. It feels kind of like the Riddler in Batman 66.
And so much of it is like, we're robbing these banks in these particular ways, and like they coincide with like dancing and all this other stuff. It's just like sometimes it felt like they were just trying a little too hard.
Yeah, I couldn't really follow the mystery. And I think part of what was the story weakness in this comes from the fact that they strayed from the novels and tried to write their own mystery around a real world event. And they could either tell the story of the real world event or make a mystery, but these writers just didn't seem to have Holmesian skill, because, I'm kind of a Sherlock Holmes fan, and these writers in this script were in the lesser tier in terms of the story.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it had like the cohesiveness that I would really like. Because when you watch, like, for example, Sherlock and stuff, the way that they break that kind of stuff down, it feels like just a master class in writing a.
On the good episodes, there are some really bad Sherlock episodes.
I guess I mostly
agree.
think of like the really first one because it's.
I don't think I've seen any of the latter
book.
ones because all the ones I've seen were pretty great. But then again, this is a memory of years ago.
Yeah.
But a person who could have really given that script a read through and probably tightened up the mystery components, believe it or not, is NBA all-time great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who is a huge Sherlock Holmes like academic.
First of all, I can't say that I'm entirely shocked by that because not for nothing, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar seems to have, and for good or for bad, an opinion on everything. And I'm like the Hollywood Reporter on a regular basis will give him just space to say whatever he wants, and and half the time it's pretty interesting, but it's so bizarre that it's just like this former basketball star would like to talk a little bit about movies, and it's so bizarre. But I like
when I say he's a huge Sherlock Holmes scholar, what I mean is he's over 7 feet tall. I don't know if he's more of a scholar.
Oh, that makes more sense.
But no, he's written a couple of books. He's written some comic books. The guy really understands the Sherlock Holmes. He follows the Conan Doyle storytelling structure pretty well.
Speaking of knocking down celebrity, since we're on a roll here, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, kind of a jerk to kids from a story that I've heard, where a kid came up and wanted him to sign like a baseball at the time, and he was just like he tried to charge the
baseball.
Kid. It's a whole deal. Long story.
What do you think? I'm Reggie Jackson? Get the hell out of here!
No. But he told me he was like $50 to a child. I was like, I don't know.
Oh man.
I was just like, wow. And it wasn't like it was at a convention or anything. He was like sitting at a booth at a restaurant or something. A little kid was just like, hello, Mr. Abdul-Jabbar, could you sign this thing? And it was like he was doing a charity baseball game or some crap. I don't know. But he asked him to sign the thing, and he wanted to charge a small child $50 to sign some crap. And
yeah, but some of these
jerk.
autograph brokers will send kids out to ask for it and do this kind of slimy stuff. So
I would.
Guy's got to do what he's got to do.
In a Sizzler,
I would say to you that no small child knows who Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is.
I don't know. It's what I heard. These are tales around a campfire.
Most adult men are mistaken for small children when standing next to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'll say that.
It's that old Dave Chappelle joke where he's like, it's the parents' fault all this stuff happened with Michael Jackson because no kid is a Michael Jackson fan. That would be like me showing up at Chubby Checker's house.
Hey, Chubby, let's watch some TV and play with your pet chimpanzee.
And just dropping them off at the house too. Drop them off at Chubby Checker's house and just but probably a womanizer, hell of a drinker, I'd imagine. Probably beating some people. I don't know.
The fat boys come over and hang out.
Ooh, now listen, if you want to start a party, we can start a Fat Boys party.
Chubby Checker and the Fat Boys. That was my favorite music video for a year.
And all they ever do is play Disorderlies. I got to go home.
I thought, okay, I want to talk half a second because I like the horse and buggy kind of chase scene. I thought that was, I'd never really seen something quite like that before, even though none of the action and stuff is really shot the best. It's serviceable. It's good. But when Thrillist grabs that like little post out of the ground and throws it at the wooden tire of the thing and that tire kind of explodes, I thought, wow, what an amazing way to like have a gun and a shot, in a tire and blow up kind of analog in this movie with horses and stuff. I thought it was pretty cool.
I would like them to hand the reins for Enola Holmes 3 over to Guy Ritchie because I really liked his Sherlock Holmes movies.
Here's the thing. While those movies weren't the greatest movies, they were a lot of fun.
They were very good to me. I liked them. I enjoyed them. And I think he could make these fight scenes with Enola more believable or at least more interesting.
Yeah, the guy that directed Enola Holmes, he directed the first one as well, but he's got a very long storied directing history for television. He doesn't direct it, like movies are not normally his thing. It is the majority of his career up until this point, up until the Enola Holmes, I think, has been majorly television stuff. So some of that translates a little bit when it kind of comes, like I said, to the action stuff and to the fact that like there's not a ton of close-ups in this movie, which is always kind of weird to me when we don't get up in people's faces at any point. But I mean,
it almost feels to me like they were rushing. I mean, I don't know anything about movie making for real, but whenever there's not like close-ups or we're not getting like a lot of changes in the cameras, I feel like they just set the camera in one place, wanted to do a few takes and then move on. Like I really feel like they rushed through and didn't take the time to get like the close-ups.
My guess is that my guess is that because the main actress in this show is probably going through some growing pains and doesn't want to have that close up on her face.
Well, no, I just even mean for like any actor. And she, if of all the people, she's the one who's got the most close-ups in this because we fourth wall break the movie, which I like. I'm good for that. But like, there's so many times where you're just like, why not a close-up here? We're having this conversation. Why not a close-up? But I think my guess is, Bruce, where that kind of probably comes to fruition is the first Enola Holmes came out in 2020, so pandemic-wise. So they shot it clearly before then. I think this was shot probably close thereafter. And maybe it was just kind of just post pandemic, and they were kind of rushing through and everything. Because like I said, the stars of this show are continuing to get more and more work these days, and are less likely to be able to lock them down at the same time.
Tewksbury's getting a whole lot of work, but that's just
me. That's Tewksbury. I like their relationship, by the way.
It is sweet and cute. I love it.
When watching that and everything, like them dancing in the bathroom and stuff like that, I was just like, oh, the kids are gonna love this. Like, this is like right up their alley. It plays perfectly to that age group and everything. And I thought that was really, I bought that. And when they finally kiss and everything, it feels like they earned that. I liked it.
Okay, so the guy that plays Tewksbury, I was just looking up a little bit, and guess what we have to look forward to before the end of the year?
Is there a Tewksbury spinoff, please?
No, but he is playing Sid Vicious in a Hulu original directed by Danny Boyle about the Sex Pistols.
I think that's out.
It's called Pistol.
I think that's out right now. If it's not out now, it's going to be very, very soon. But I heard about it.
It says it was announced in January 2021 and it premiered May 31st, so that's already out.
Yeah,
good.
I was fairly certain that was out.
For some reason, they had Pistol listed after Enola Holmes here on this filmography. But yes, I want to see him as Sid Vicious because I can't see it.
I don't know. Danny Boyle's been kind of more missed than hit these days for my taste, but that is what it is. All right, before we get to our reviews here and everything, let's hear what some of our supporters over at patreon.com/HMP had to say about Enola Holmes 2. Kev writes in, I enjoyed Enola Holmes 2 a little more than the first one, and both are pretty good. The script for this time around brought a few more courses for the cast to dine in on. I give it a Tim Drake. That's from Kev, a.k.a. Will Billy. Justin writes in, I like the first Enola Holmes, and I really enjoy the second one. Henry Cavill getting a bigger role this time around was a good choice. The reveal of Moriarty, which we didn't even talk about, was fine, but I don't think it was a big shock that they were hoping for. I'm a big fan of Himesh Patel, so the cut scene of him revealing to play Dr. Watson, which I didn't see, had me excited for the potential of a third movie. It's a solid Tim Drake. That comes from Justin. And Noah finishes it up with, I enjoyed Enola Holmes 2. It's a fun, easy-to-watch, fast-paced, and well-shot movie. A good follow-up for the first one. The story is good and reminds me of the books of Encyclopedia Brown that I read as a kid. Enola Holmes could have easily become a movie franchise that could hold up. Millie Bobby Brown is a great fit for Enola, and playing off of Cavill's Sherlock works really well. The rest of the supporting cast does a great job in just that, supporting Enola/Millie. I give this movie a Tim Drake and hope that they make more. That's from Noah. So, yeah, looks like our folks pretty much enjoyed it.
Sean, are you an Encyclopedia Brown fan at all? Did you ever watch the old show on HBO or read the books as a kid?
I read the books as a kid. There was like a couple too, right? So there's Encyclopedia Brown and there's Cam Jansen and there's a couple other ones where like I was part of the weekly reader program where a new book would come to the house every week. And all of those books came during that time.
Well, I really liked Encyclopedia Brown. The comparison she was making there is apt, but he worked on a smaller scale, But also, I know that you love the movie Boy Detective.
I do.
I read
Kid Detective.
Yeah, Kid Detective. I read that script was originally Encyclopedia Brown Grows Up or something like that.
That makes sense. Total sense.
Because he's supposed to be, of course, they couldn't get the rights, so he is an original character, but the script was written as Encyclopedia's grown up, now what? So I've got to watch that movie now. I have not seen it now, but when I read it was Encyclopedia Brown grown up, now I got to watch it.
But Charlie Brown costs too much money and you can't put him in the picture. They won't allow it.
The best part of that movie isn't the mystery, but the mystery's pretty good.
I'm going to write a series of books called Wikipedia Jones. It's going to be
bro, first and foremost, I am already on board with the name Wikipedia Jones. I don't know why it struck me, but I'm just like, Wikipedia Jones sounds awesome.
I've got some bad news for the both of you.
Son of a...
There's a guy who has a podcast out of Australia, and his name is Wikipedia Brown.
Wikipedia Brown's good, but
Ruined it for me.
All right, before we get to our review, it's time to find out how this latest Enola Holmes sequel relates back one-to-one with Sylvester Stallone.
Thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Oh.
Howdy do, Mr. Stallone. This week I've seen a lot of press about you thanks to the premiere of your new TV show, Tulsa King. You've successfully transitioned into the role of elder statesman, and you've been quoted as saying, "You're never going to quit," which I find inspiring because at 76 years old, when most people are retired and easily falling for internet frauds, you're still out there. You're still making stuff. But you know who else is making stuff? Ben Rothwell. He was the armory coordinator on Enola Holmes too, and he also was the gun guy on Rambo: Last Blood.
Yeah.
He's been working since 2009 when he worked on Harry Brown, which is a movie where another old guy is murdering a bunch of people. Ben Rothwell has worked on some of the biggest projects of the last 20 years, including Nolan's Dark Knight Rises and the first Captain America. But the movie I'd like to speak to you about today is a movie called Johnny English Strikes Again.
Yeah.
A movie that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that America doesn't have the market cornered on terribly written parody movies. I love Rowan Atkinson. I think he's a comedy treasure, but yikes. What do you know? What I write there? But you know what, Mr. Stallone? There you go. But you know what, Mr. Stallone? Don't take my word for it. Here's a review by IMDb user who, yet again, uses their real name for some reason. Why do you people keep doing this?
You call that an Adam Portress is what you do there.
So I will hold it. I will withhold it. But it might be the most British movie review of all time. And it is entitled Rubbish. They write, "No way is this a 10 in any dimension, not even a 9 or an 8. Forget 7. Even 6 would be having a laugh, which is more than what you get with this film. 5 might be where it should land, and that is being generous. If you want a movie to watch with the kids, find Naked Gun. I'd give this a 1 because people giving it a 10 were clearly trying to change the percentage of this film. 1 star.
Wow.
Now, Mr. Stallone, usually when I quote an IMDb user review, it's usually because they're an idiot, or maybe they were just let out of the facility that cares for them, but never because they're so British that it's screaming at me through their words. So thank you, now unnamed English person, and thank you, Mr. Stallone. This week's connection to you is gunman Ben Rothwell. I hope to hear from you soon. Your pal, Sweet Chauncey from the internet."
Well, here at Hero Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system where we rate the movies on a factor of Robins. If you'd like to check that out, head on over to reddit.com/r/Hero Movie Pod. It's right there at the top. Bruce, where does Enola Holmes 2 fall in the Robin rating system for you?
I mean, it's pretty much carried on Millie Bobby Brown's shoulders for me. The whole thing's kind of carried on her charisma. This is going to be a franchise that is there for girls who are in high school and middle school. You know, girls a little bit younger than Millie Bobby Brown. They're really going to find the appropriate encouragement that they probably need here, and that's fine. It's probably not going to be like a Harry Potter franchise where all these adults really into the YA thing. You know, it's just going to be its YA thing, and I figure she'll probably make make a decent amount of money. I mean, if Netflix keeps making original Adam Sandler movies, they'll probably let her keep making Enola Holmes as long as she wants to.
My movies keep making money.
And they may have to call up Liam Hemsworth if Henry Cavill won't do any more movies. But
look at you.
Anyway, I got to give it a rating. I'm going to say this one's a little weaker than the last one, but it's still pretty good. I'm going to give it high Damian Wayne. It just, I was more in need of entertainment in 2020 than I am in 2022.
Fair. Sean?
This is the lowest of Damian Wayne's to me because it's not crap. It's not, like done poorly. It's just, it does not ring true to me watching this movie. And that's kind of the difficulty that I have with it. And it stems from Millie Bobby Brown in the first place. So for me, it is a very low, a very low
Damien
Wayne.
Wayne. Okay.
Damian Wayne.
We all have those times. For me, it's a low Tim Drake on this one. I liked it well enough. Maybe not as much as I like the first one, but I think, Bruce, you may be onto something there in that 2020 when we were all just kind of stuck inside. Yeah. We were all just like, oh, crap, some new stuff. This is going to be sweet. And it was, because we had nothing. So I think there might be a little transference there. But again, I like everybody and what they're kind of doing with this. I do want to see another one at some point. Maybe just with a little bit better story, little more dynamic directing for my taste. But that's, little quibbles. That's all I got. But I mean, there's a lot worse out there. I'll say that. There's a whole heck of a lot worse. So that's a low Tim Drake for me. Well, that is it, everybody. International November still keeps trucking on here. Again, we're going to be talking about our Patreon selection next week. Bruce, in the meantime, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can go check out what I got going on over on the old YouTubester, youtube.com/C/Bruce Leslie. I took a minute to watch Team 4 Stars. I think it's called My Hero Academia Season 1 in 5 minutes, and did a little video watching that and talking about that's up. And there's other cool stuff too. Go check it out. And you can see me in the bathrobe. It's
I was about to say, subscribe to
the
channel so you never know what might happen. Wardrobe malfunctions over there at the Bruce Leslie. Who's to say? I don't know.
I'm leaving that live video up for a couple of weeks before I take it down, so you can go check it out.
Ivan Sexy. Sean, what else?
We have a show called Andor 30 Questions, where each week we ask 30 questions about the latest episode of the television series Andor, and you should check it out.
And of course, just remember, our Patreon vote is coming up. Those movies that you have to choose from again: Kung Fu Hustle, Mortal, Ip Man, House or Hausu, depending on how you want to do it, and Thirst. So do check all of those out. Those are going to be available for you to vote, and we'll probably end the voting, let's say Wednesday evening, somewhere around there and everything. So thank you guys so much for yet another fantastic episode. For Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet and Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portress. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.
Stayed at home yesterday. All our words can't describe the feeling and the way you lie. These games you play, they're gonna end in more than tears someday. Enola Holmes, it should never have to end this way. Take 15, and that's the time that it's always been. We got your message on the